Have you ever told a child to use their imagination to design something creative, whether in their writings or on an artistic level? While there are many different factors that affect early childhood development, the lack of art programs in public schools has been shown to inhibit a child's imagination and express creativity. It is important to integrate art at an early age. Art serves to help children learning academically by increasing critical thinking skills. I have worked in education going on my 13th year now. Daily, I can witness the lack of creativity and imagination with my students. Today, I would like to share something interesting about the history of art, why students need art education, and I also have data to support my reasoning. To begin with, I would like to review some history about the introduction of art classes into the United States. In 1747, Benjamin Franklin first spoke of art education. His writings in Proposed Hints for an Academy suggested that along with handwriting, students should learn to draw by imitation of prints, which simply meant drawing by imitating an object. He believed it taught perspective. Franklin stated in his writings that drawing is kind of a universal language, understood by all nations. According to Ben Franklin, he believed that drawing could be used as a way for man to express ideas that may not be expressed through words. Massachusetts happened to be the first state to adopt art education as a part of the general education program. In 1870, art was made part of the laws of the state as far as education goes. Art education has certainly made progress over the years. Now that I have given you some background from where the first art education class began, let's look more in depth about why art integration is so important. A recent study developed by Americans for the Arts stated that in their studies, they found many areas in which students exposed to art showed growth academically. Students learn to develop creative ways to solve problems. Art introduction drastically helps children with the development of motor skills, language skills, social skills, decision making, and becoming more inventive. Integrating art skills helps to engage students that would normally not even participate in class. Art continues to challenge students at any learning level. Children participating in art classes are more disciplined and show academic growth. Art education connects students with many cultures as well as their own. Let us discuss one of the reasons, other than funding, that other students have been dismissed from having art programs. Standardized test preparation has taken away from art education programs in an elementary setting. Let me ask you this. Do you honestly think that standardized testing will show how creative a student is? Here in our state, students are required to take the GMAS, which stands for Georgia Milestone Assessment System. This test spans from 3rd to 8th grade. Since the beginning of GMAS testing, I can attest to the fact that in my experience, constructive response writing calls for creativity. Have you ever asked a child to be creative and use their imagination? Well, I have. And sadly, many of my students did not have a clue as to what being creative or using their imagination meant. One of the biggest tasks that I have in teaching children creative writing is that they do not know how to be creative. I fault this to our school system not implementing an art class. I recently came across an article that was posted in the New York Times. I thought it was very interesting and it supported my research. Mariala Hardiman, a professor at Johns Hopkins School of Education, whom was also formerly a school principal, took an initiative to do some interesting studies. In speaking with many educators, the main complaint was that the information does not stick with the students. After the introduction of art, those students were able to remember material for longer periods of time. Art was introduced into curriculum in many ways, such as drawing or sketching. It was used in vocabulary studies, and interestingly, test scores increased. After many research studies with different age children with multiple learning skills, it was discovered that art helped children with memory as well. To conclude, after research and being part in education, I can honestly say that art education should be implemented in early education. We have discussed the history behind art education and how Benjamin Franklin thought that the teaching of art was very important. Now that you've been introduced to many positive effects from children that were participating in art education, you can see that children have so much to gain from learning about art. I challenge you to get involved with your children's education. If your schools does not have an art program, you can be proactive and help your district and see why it is so important. There are government grants that can help schools receiving funds for art programs. And you never know. There are many careers in the futures of children that involves art. Let's help our students be creative. Let's help them have an imagination. And let's let them learn with art. Thank you.